In this presentation, we are going to talk about the great white shark. Starting with its classification in the animal kingdom. It's a part of the superclass Gnathostomata, which includes all jawed vertebrates. It's in the class of Chondrites and the subclass of Elasmobranchia. This subclass includes sharks, rays, and skates. One interesting feature of these animals is their highly sensitive electrosensory systems, specifically the ampullae of Lorenzi, which helps them detect electrical signals from their prey. They are a part of infraclass Selachii, the superorder Gallimorphi, and the order Lamniformes. Its family is Lamnidae. This family is particularly interesting because the great white and other sharks in this group are capable of partial endothermy, or warm-bloodedness. This allows them to survive in colder waters and hunt seals, their preferred prey. They are part of the genus Carcharodon, derived from the ancient Greek words karkaros for jagged or sharp and odon for tooth. Their species is Carcharodon caracaris. And finally, we have the great white shark itself. Its name, caracaris, comes from the Greek word for shark, which also relates to the sharp teeth, giving us the name shark-toothed shark. Now that we've classified the great white, let's dive into some more general information about this amazing predator. Females can reach up to 6 meters, which is about 20 feet, in length and weigh as much as 2 tons. Males, on the other hand, are typically smaller, rarely growing past 5 meters. This size difference is a good example of sexual dimorphism in the species. Males take up to 26 years to reach sexual maturity, while females take even longer, up to 33 years. This slow maturation rate has implications for their conservation status, as it means they have a slower reproduction rate. The great white has an estimated bite strength of 1 ton per square inch. To put that into perspective, it's one of the most powerful bites in the animal kingdom. The upper jaw contains 23 to 28 teeth, while the lower jaw has 20 to 26. These teeth can grow up to 6.6 inches in length, making them formidable tools for hunting. One of the common names for the great white is the white pointer, which refers to the stark white belly of the shark. The term great likely came about to distinguish it from the oceanic white-tipped shark, which was also once referred as the lesser white shark. Great whites can live up to 70 years, which is roughly equivalent to the average human lifespan. However, as we discussed earlier, they don't reach sexual maturity until much later in life. The features of the great white shark. They have a torpedo-shaped body for efficient movement through the water. The liver is the great white shark's largest organ by far, weighing up to 1,000 pounds and comprising almost a third of the animal's total weight, and about 90% of that is liquid fat. The liver is used for buoyancy, but primarily for energy stores. They have a cone-shaped head which reduces resistance in the water. Sharks, including the great white, have heads covered with many hundreds of pores, making up the ampullae of Lorenzi that detects the electromagnetic field emitted by other animals, including their prey. These pores contain sensory hairs and a special gel. The hairs serve as voltage indicators and release neurotransmitters when stimulated. Their nostrils are located at the front of their head for better olfactory capabilities. The eyes of the great white are uniquely adapted for hunting. They are placed on the sides of the head to provide a wide field of vision. While many shark species have nictitating membranes, which is a protective membrane that covers their eyes to shield them from injury while hunting, great whites do not. They instead roll their eyes back into their heads at the last moment before striking their prey. Obviously, they can't see their prey while in this state, so they rely on their other senses to help them complete their attack. Their dorsal fin provides stability while swimming. Pectoral fins assist with maneuverability. and helping the shark change direction quickly. Their tail is crescent-shaped with a larger top lobe that provides thrust for swimming. And their skin is covered with dermal denticles which reduce drag and allow the shark to move through water more efficiently. The great white's underbelly and darker top also help with camouflage. Great white sharks are found in all of the major oceans, from Alaska all the way down to Argentina. While they roam the world's oceans, they tend to prefer temperate and tropical waters where food is abundant. Interestingly, as great whites grow, their habitats change. Juvenile sharks are often found in coastal and estuarine areas, while adult sharks prefer the open ocean, also known as the pelagic habitats.
The diet and hunting strategies employed by the great white shark varies upon their age. Adolescent sharks eat small, medium-sized fish, otters, and other smaller sharks, whereas adult sharks prey on seals, sea turtles, sea lions, dolphins, and other small cetaceans. Great whites are considered ambush hunters, macropredators, and an apex predator of the sea. This species is solitary most of their life unless they are gathering around feeding hotspots, where they are only preyed upon by other great whites and possibly orcas. Orcas typically target them for their livers. The great white shark uses ovoviviparous reproduction, which is a tactic used by sharks, rays, snakes, and fish. This reproductive style features internal fertilization. Then the eggs are formed inside of the female shark. These eggs will then hatch inside of the female shark, where the shark pup will feed on unfertilized eggs until it is born at the end of the gestation period. Gestation lasts for approximately 12 months, and a female shark can produce up to 13 pups in her lifetime. This species is currently listed as vulnerable. A significant population decline occurred during the 1970s and 1980s, where sharks and rays were heavily fished. Sharks and rays are still considered a targeted fishing species for shark fin fishing, where sharks are captured, their fins severed, and the shark returned to the ocean. Shark fins are typically used in Chinese medicine and as a delicacy for cultural cuisines such as the shark fin soup in Asia. Fin fishing is heavily banned in the U.S. and Australian waters, along with fins being an illegal product in the U.S., Canada, and the U.K. However, countries like Spain, Indonesia, Japan, and Taiwan are the world's largest shark fin exporters. Historically, great white sharks have had large cultural impacts on many communities. They were considered very spiritual animals with lots of significance to many island cultures. Their teeth were used for spears and their skin for drums, whereas modern-day impact shows negative connotations due to movies like Jaws and 47 Meters Down portraying them as a beast in the water. Shark watching, feeding, and cage diving are currently used for encounters to help educate the public on this species. Presently, there is a significant amount of research that goes into this species. The Atlantic White Shark Conservancy offers the app Sharktivity to aid researchers in collecting sightings of great whites, and the Global White Shark Project, who partners across the world for many research projects, but also works domestically with tagging and collecting samples from populations within the U.S. waters.
Starting almost 10 years ago, we were at ground zero with our knowledge of this population of the white shark. It was actually one of the poorest known populations in all the world. And now we have elevated our knowledge of this population from one of the least understood to one of the best.
In the Western North Atlantic White Shark Project, it has grown to the point where we now have 25 different projects. We do a very specific set of biological samples on these animals. We collect blood samples that go to multiple projects, muscle samples that go to multiple projects. We do an ultrasound that can inform many different aspects of the animal. We collect semen samples, which can tell us many different aspects of the animal. and ultimately all of those samples help inform other projects. How do all these projects work together is really important as far as really increasing our rate of learning about these animals. And it's not just trying to answer your question, but seeing how your question fits in with other projects. So for example, when we have toxicology studies, we can really look at whether the toxins they're detecting are impacting the animal's health. With the nutrition study, there are certain micronutrients that can impact how toxins affect an animal. And we can look at the toxins that they're seeing and whether those nutrients are high or low, in which case they might be being depleted. It's all of those bigger questions of how these projects relate together and answer each other's additional questions that makes this such a strong project and such a strong collaboration.
One of my roles here with OSearch is looking at movements and migration of these animals, using multiple forms of telemetry to better understand where they go, when they go there, and ultimately why they go there. And to truly understand the why, you need to know other aspects about their biology, and being able to understand a bit about their diet, the health of the animals, the reproductive status of the animals, which are all of these other projects, allow us to really expand the scope of the work that we do, not only with the movements and migration, but also better understanding the population as a whole. So it not only allows us to be much more efficient, but it also reveals insights that we wouldn't be able to really understand if we were only single focused on one particular thing.
So this collaboration has brought together a lot of different researchers and a lot of different institutions. And they may have very different perspectives on the different questions and different tools to answer those questions. So it's been a great way to introduce different methodologies into different projects and really expand what each project can do by having other institutions that you can work with.
We took this different approach, this OSearch science model of super collaboration, to maximize and accelerate the process of understanding. We're trying to get the ocean back to its natural abundance and balance in as quick a time as possible.